What role did the French Revolution play in the run-up to the Haitian Revolution?
Yeah, the French Revolution, of course, was really a moment when a financial crisis drove France to create a new constitution, to reform their tax system, and that meant really reforming their entire society. In essence, the French Revolution brought the French to redefine who is French? And the idea that all residents of the kingdom, whether they were nobles, clergy, or commoners, were all equal, was a profound redefinition of the idea of Frenchness.
I see.
And yet, so out of that comes these ideas of like all men are created equal. Thomas Jefferson was in Paris during the early French Revolution. He helped write the Declaration of the Rights of Man using that same language that he put in the American Declaration of Independence. And yet in a slave colony like Saint-Domingue, the idea that all men were created equal was an incredibly dangerous idea, dangerous to slavery.
Sure.
And so those revolutionary ideas were seized upon by different people in the colony, including wealthy biracial men. This is the group I studied in my first book.
Oh, okay.
Many of them were educated in France. Some of them owned hundreds of people. They were enslavers as well. And yet, because they were biracial, their ancestry was mixed African and European, they were considered lower in the racial hierarchy. So they saw the French Revolution as a chance for them to get equality, which is exactly what the revolution promised. And when they went to France, people in France saw, well, yeah, you're a wealthy French person. You're just from the colonies, your skin's a little bit darker, but yeah, of course you're going to be equal. But then when they went back to the colony, the colonists refused to accept that. And so conflict between these white French people and these, let's say, brown French people, destabilized the colony and helped give enslaved black people sort of a moment when they could sort of seize the opportunity to rise up. And now we know, thanks to the book, that they had formed a series of communities, not one single revolutionary community, but different kinds of communities to fight against the anthrax threat. And those communities were the ones that allowed leaders to mobilize people to very quickly pull thousands of enslaved people into a terribly dangerous revolution that ultimately succeeded.
Because of anthrax.
Right. And so what I show in the book in a series of maps is how the anthrax threat was all around the Noé plantation and the Clément or Duty plantation where the revolution broke out. So Boukman Duty, one of the famous leaders that we know about from the Haitian Revolution, the man who lit the spark, he was living in a zone where people all around him for decades had been infected with the terrible anthrax disease and then have been tortured and killed for causing that disease. Boukman Duty lived 30 years after Mackandal and never knew Mackandal, but he lived like 3 miles from where Mackandal had his own community using African, not medicines, but using African spiritual objects to help people against the mysterious killer. So I kind of show a link in the book between the Mackandal event and the Boukman's Haitian Revolution, using maps and using geography to show that Mackandal was not a poisoner, but he was a person who created kind of communities, the kind that Boukman and other revolutionary leaders 30 years later could mobilize. And that's the sort of x-ray of the enslaved population that kind of we've never really had before. The ability to see past the famous leader into the men and women who really made the revolution happen.